مشعل في الوفاء كان في عطفه لليتامى دفاع حن قلبي له فاض شوقا إليه ليس أرجو سوى شربة من يديه الصلاة عليه والسلام عليه للسماء تذهبوا أنتم الطلقاء مصطفى
دعوا للصفا سيد الأنبياء مشعل في الوفاء كان في عطفه لليتامى
الحمد لله والصلاة والسلام على رسول الله وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. We praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We send salam and salutations. We send blessings and salutations upon Muhammad, his household, his companions, all his followers until the day of judgment. Amin ya Rabbal Alamin. May Allah make among them. Amin. يا أيها الذين آمنوا اتقوا الله حق تقاته ولا تموتن إلا وأنتم مسلمون. يا أيها الناس اتقوا ربكم الذي خلقكم من نفس واحدة وخلق منها زوجها وبث منهما رجالا كثيرا ونساء واتقوا الله الذي تساءلون به والأرحام إن الله كان عليكم رقيبا. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Today we're gonna speak about the life of the noble prophet, peace be upon him, Prophet Muhammad, and the location and the nature of Arab tribes. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Beyond a shadow of a doubt, the biography of Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam obviously represents a complete picture of the magnificent divine message that he communicated in order to deliver the human race from the swamp of darkness and polytheism to the paradise of light and monotheism. An image authentic as well as comprehensive of this message is therefore only attainable through careful study and profound analysis of both backgrounds and issues of such a biography. In view of this, a whole chapter is here introduced about the nature and the development of Arab tribes prior to Islam, as well as the circumstantial environment that enwrapped the Prophet's mission. Location of the Arabs. Linguistically, the word Arab means desert and barren land without water and vegetations. Ever since the dawn of history, this term has been used for Arabian Peninsula and its people. The Arabian Peninsula is enclosed in the west by the Red Sea and Sinai, in the east by the Arabian Gulf, in the south by the Arabian Sea, which is an extension of the Indian Ocean, and in the north by all Syria and part of Iraq. The area is estimated between 1 million and 300,000 square miles. Thanks to its geographical positions, the peninsula has always maintained great importance, considering its internal setting. It is most desertous and sandy places, which has made it inaccessible to foreigners and invaders, and allowed its people complete liberty and independence through the ages, despite the presence of the two neighboring great empires. Its external setting, on the other hand, caused it to be the center of the old world and provided it with sea and land links with most nations at the time. Thanks to the strategic position, the Arabian Peninsula had become a center for trade, culture, regional, and art. Arab tribes. Arab peoples have been divided according to lineage into three groups: perished Arabs, the ancient Arabs of lost histories little is known, and of whom were as-Samud, thus Jadis, Mulaq, and others. Poor Arabs who originated from the progeny of Yarub bin Yashjub bin Qatan. They were also called Qatanian Arabs. Arabized Arabs who originated from the progeny of Ismail. They were also called Adnanian Arabs. The poor Arabs, the people of Qatan, originally lived in Yemen and comprised many tribes, two of which were very famous. Himyar, the most famous of those ancestors, were Zayd al-Jamhur, Wada, and Sakathi. Kahlan, the most famous of those ancestors, were Hamdan, Anmar, Ta'i, Muzhid, Qinda, Laq, Juzam, Azd, Aus, Khazraj, and the descendants of Japhna, the kings of all Syria. The Kahlan tribes immigrated from Yemen to dwell in the different parts of the Arabian Peninsula prior to the Great Flood. Sil al-Arim of the Ma'arib Dam. They did this due to the failure of the trade under the Roman pressure and control of both sea and land trade routes following the Roman occupation of Egypt and Syria. Naturally enough, the competition between Kahlan and Himyar led to the evacuation of the first and the settlement of the second in Yemen. The immigrating tribes of Kahlan can be divided into 4 groups. 1. Al-Azd, who wandered in Yemen, sent pioneers under the leadership of Imran bin Amr Mudayya, and finally headed to the north and east. Details of their immigration can be summed up as follows. Salaba ibn Amr left his tribe Al-Azd for Hijaz and dwelt between Salabiya and Dhiqar. When he gained strength, he headed for Medina, where he stayed. For his descendants are Aus and Khazraj, son of Haritha bin Salaba. Haritha bin Amr, known as Khuda'ah, wandered with his offspring in Jiza in Hijaz until they came to Mar az-Zahran. Later they conquered the Haram and settled in Mecca after having driven away its people, the tribe of Jurhum. Imran bin Amr and his family went to Oman, where they established the tribe of Azd, whose offspring inhabited Tihama and were known as Azd of Shanwa. Japhna bin Amr and his family headed for Syria, where he settled and initiated the kingdom of Qathan, who was so named after a spring of water in Hijaz, where they stopped on their way to Syria. Lakm and Juzam, of whom was Nasr bin Rabi'a, founder of the Manadhira, king of Hira. Hira, the king of Hira, Banu Ta'i, who also immigrated northwards to settle by the so-called Aja and Salma mountains, which were accordingly named the Ta'i mountains. The fourth one, Kinda, who dwelt in Bahrain but were expelled to Hanrama and Najd. They had no strangers here, as they had none in Bahrain, and so they settled in Najd. There they had an important rulership, although it did not last long, for all tribes soon faded away. Another tribes of Himyar, known as Uda'a also left Yemen and dwelt in the Samaha desert on the border of Iraq. The Arabized Arabs go back in a century to their great-grandfather Ibrahim salam from a town called near Kufa on the west bank of the Euphrates in Iraq. Excavation brought to light many details of the town, Ibrahim's family, and the prevalent religious and social circumstances. It is known that Ibrahim salam left for Haran and then for Palestine, which he made headquarters for his message. He wandered all over the area. When he went to Egypt, the Pharaoh tried to do evil to his wife Sarah. But Allah saved her, and the Pharaoh's weak scheme recoiled on him. He thus came to realize her strong attachment to Allah, and in acknowledgement of her grace, the Pharaoh rendered his daughter Hajar at Sarah's service. But Sarah gave Hajar to Ibrahim salam as a wife, and Ibrahim returned to Palestine, where Hajar gave birth to Ismail salam. Sarah becomes jealous of Hajar and forced Ibrahim to send Hajar and her baby away to a plantless valley in Hijaz. By the sacred house exposed to the floods from the north and the south, he chose for them a place under a lofty tree near the upper side of the masjid in Mecca, where neither people nor water were available. When the Ibrahim salam and took his wife Hajar and Ismail, there is no any peoples or even waters around the Mecca. Okay. Where neither people nor water were available, and went back to Palestine, leaving a leather cage with some dairies and a vessel of water with his wife and baby. Before long, they ran out of both food and water, but thanks to Allah's favor, water gushed forth to sustain them for some time. The story of Zamzam spring is well known to everybody. Allahu Akbar. Another Yemeni tribes, Jurhum the second came and lived in Mecca upon Hajar's permission, after being said to have lived in the valley around Mecca. It is mentioned in Sahih al-Bukhari that this tribe came to Mecca before Ismail was a young man, while they had passed through that valley long before this event. Abraham or Ibrahim alayhi salam used to go to Mecca every now and then to see his wife and son. The number of this journey is still unknown but dependable historical references have mentioned for Allah the Sublime stated in the Quran that he had Ibrahim alayhi salam see in his dream that he slaughtered his son Ismail alayhi salam, and therefore Ibrahim alayhi salam stood up to fulfill his order. Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. We're gonna continue next Friday, inshallah.